Hello my darklings, it's me, Cherry. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to check out the things that I've been listening to for the month of September 2019. Don't forget to check out my Spotify playlist. I've got a link in the description below. This is where I feature my personal favorite tracks from all the releases I discuss. I also have included links to each of the releases in the description below, just in case you don't like using Spotify. Just so you know, Spotify is free to use, so you can listen to my playlist for free at any point. So definitely keep that in mind. I usually split this out into 3 categories: synth-based, guitar-based, and other. I have all 3 this month. Let's go ahead and get started with my synth-based choices. My first synth-based choice is the band Lazerpunk with their release Death and Glory. And my personal favorite from this release was the track Speed Racer featuring Quixotic. Lazerpunk is currently touring the US with Aesthetic Perfection and Empathy Test. And this is a great retro hard electronic synthwave artist from Budapest, Hungary. This album was a little bit polarizing. I found myself either loving or hating every track as I listened to it. However, I did find that I liked more than I hated, so I would recommend checking out Death and Glory from Lazerpunk. Second on my list, but first in my heart, is the new release from KANGA and her EP Eternal Daughter. My favorite track from this release was Burn. After really being put through the ringer following her first album debut, she has come back with a very strong EP release that was done independent of any labels. She worked really hard on it, and she's actually currently touring the UK with the legendary Gary Newman. I found that this was a solid listen through and a fantastic album for those of us who have fallen down and had trouble remembering how to get back up. I would highly recommend checking out Eternal Daughter from KANGA. Third on my list is the release Exposure Therapy from the band WINGTIPS, and my personal choice from this was After the Storm. WINGTIPS is currently touring the US with a number of different supporting acts. This is a Chicago-based post-punk duo. I felt like this debut album was a cohesive release, but found plenty of danceable tracks on the album. Fourth on my synth-based list is the band The New Division with a duo of EPs recently released, the first of which was Modus, and the second of which was Fascination. And I decided to go ahead and pick a favorite track from each of these EPs, of which were Worth It and the title track Fascination. So the New Division has been dropping multiple small EPs lately. And the New Division is an alias for the LA-based musician and producer John Kunkel. He categorizes himself as electronic, new wave, and synth pop, but I also find that he does a good job of including a solid guitar line within his tracks. I find it provides a balanced and enjoyable sound. And I always find at least a few tracks from every single one of his releases that I become absolutely obsessed with. If you've never heard them, definitely check out The New Division. Next on the list is the release 6 from the band Iris. My personal favorite track was One Kind. This is the first album release from this synth pop duo that we've seen in the past 5 years. They're currently preparing for an upcoming European tour at the end of October, and I really enjoyed this album from start to finish. If you've never heard of Iris before, I definitely recommend checking out this album and all of their previous releases. Last on our synth-based list is an unexpected choice. The band is EURINGER, the album is EURINGER, and my personal favorite track is That's How Jimmy Gets Down. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. James EURINGER, aka Jimmy Urine, is the lead singer and forming member of the band Mindless Self-Indulgence, and the way I would categorize them is psychopop. There are no fucks given, and they really provide music that is great for those days when you just want to flip a table and just not care anymore. The music is always entertaining, always crass, and definitely fun to listen to. I will say this release is not for the faint of heart. In fact, the first track is a trigger warning. So if you know what you're getting yourself into, if you like Mindless Self-Indulgence, I recommend checking out EURINGER. Next up, we'll take a look at my guitar-based choices. First up on my guitar list is the band Silent Runners with their release The Directory. My personal favorite track from this release is Forgotten. This is the debut LP from this Amsterdam quintet. According to the band, the sound is a mixing of dark synths and electronics with post-punk influences. I really enjoyed this album. I had never heard of them before checking this out, but my personal choice track has a solid groove that I really enjoyed. And I also really appreciated some spotlight moments given to the bass guitar, which is typically not an instrument you hear highlighted on any tracks. Last on my guitar-based list is a new release from the band Paralysed Age. The album is Intermezzo, and my personal choice was the track Lifeboat. This is a goth rock, dark wave, German-based trio, and this is the first album that we have seen from the band in 13 years. Any of you fans of goth rock out there will enjoy this album. They have some dark influences and a great sound, and I'm really glad to hear them back. Last up is my other category, and I just have one selection for that today. The band is Beacon. The release is Gravity Pairs, and my favorite tracks are The Road and On Ice. This is a New York-based electronic duo, and I find that my favorite thing about them is their ability to release very chill, down-tempo recordings. This album, however, was quite a departure from their past sound. It not only featured their typical chill sound, but also a foray into a more upbeat universe. That's the primary reason why I chose two different tracks from this album. The first track, The Road, sort of explores this new upbeat sound, but the second track, On Ice, is a great representation of what you can expect from Beacon from all of their releases. If you've never heard of them before, I highly recommend checking them out. And that's all I have for you today for my September 2019 What Am I Listening To? Don't forget to check out my Spotify playlist with all of the standout tracks from my chosen releases. Please feel free to drop any comments or questions you might have below. If you'd like to see more from me, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to tap the bell for notifications. And please stay lovely. I'll see you next time.